Yo, we are back for another edition of Everything Uncovered. This is Coach Ike, your host. For those who do not know about this channel, we talk to professionals, DBs, former Division One college players who have played. They share their jewels, their games, their journey, and what they're doing off the field after football, or guys who are currently in the field and what they're doing off the field and how they got to where they are. Man, I am excited because our guest is not a athlete today, but someone who definitely helps and helps us as players. I know personally this man has made an impact in my life, has extended my career. Um, I am truly excited for my guest today. But prior to us getting into this, um, those who are looking for me on social media platforms, Coach Ike's DB Training, that's where you guys can find me at on all platforms. Okay. And then those that are looking to tap in and train with us. We train, if you are local in the San Gabriel Valley area or the IE area, we train twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Make sure you guys DM or hit me up, okay? Find out the locations and where those are going to be. And then we also have hybrid. So if you are not local at all, but you want to be part of our DB membership, we have a membership where you get all the drills, all the stuff that we do here in person. You would have that virtually. You can do it anywhere. Okay. That is our digital membership. And then we also have 2 tiers to our membership where we have different components, financial literacy. We have film breakdown, chalk talks, all these things. So if you're interested in that and taking your game to the next level and expediting your learning curve, okay, it has took me 20 years to learn what I know. If I would have knew it much faster, I would be, in a better situation, probably still playing. But that's neither here or there. Now we get to expedite my 20 years of experience of what I've learned, what I picked up. You guys get to learn that in a short amount of time and not waste your time bumping your head against roads and pitfalls that I had to go through. Okay. Um, we also have we talk about recruiting, have an ebook recruiting, breaking that down. We'll also assist with recruiting in our membership as well. All right. So if you guys are ever interested in that, I will put that in the description tab where you guys can tap in and make sure you guys tap in with us. We also have virtual programs. So if you're looking for something very specific, we have footwork, we have ball skills, we have press series going over various types of press and how to use them and when to use them, as well as football IQ. So if you want to make sure your football IQ is up to par or you are able to learn and execute on the field, you need to have football IQ to have that as well. So all these things are available. Okay, so yes, let's bring on our guest. Okay, my guest, he is a certified athletic trainer. He has over 30 years of game in this arena. Someone, like I said, he's truly made an impact in my life, extended my playing career. I can't wait for you guys to be introduced to him. I would like to bring on Stuart Nichols. Stuart,
How are things with you today?
doing good. How about yourself?
all good, all
So
good.
I gave
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your questions. You're spot on. So uh, you're a smart man.
nah, cause I truly, and for people who don't know, so I gave a little bio, just a little bit about you, but people know my story. I talked about it a little bit. So I went to Arizona in 2017. This is when I met you, and I have had a nagging hamstring injury since college of 2011-12. I strained my hamstring a week before my pro day. Still did my pro day. I made my hamstring worse. I had to actually sit out a year. So my hamstring from this time for 5 years was still hurting me. I first day of practice, first period, we were doing special teams at Arizona, and my hamstring, I was like, Stu, like I'm done. I can't do anything. Now,
Yeah.
mind you guys, I have been run track my whole life. I know about stretching. I've been to chiropractors. Stu said, Arnez, get on the ground. He cracked my back and stretched me a little bit. I'm telling you, my hamstring pain like went away completely. And then Stu said, come see me after practice.
Yeah.
I said, what? I said, it's no way. I literally finished practice and I went to Stu after. I said, Stu, how did you do this? And they told me prior to the season starting, they said, hey, we got the best trainer in the game. He's the magic man. I said, what y'all mean? And I truly found out that first day of practice.
Well, I appreciate the love, and hamstrings are the most debilitating injury in the NFL, more than ACLs, more than shoulders, knees. The thing that keeps people out the longest in the NFL are hamstrings. And, the big thing is that you have to know what you're treating, and you have to know, what's causing the issue. And if you have an idea what's going on, then, you have the opportunity to get it better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for some folks, they have some pathology associated with that. What I mean by that is that they've got either a lot of times they've got a back problem that's being mimicked as a hamstring problem, and those issues become a little bit more challenging to treat because that just again it's they've got tissue. They've got like an ACL tear in their back.
Mm-hmm.
They got ligament tears in their back that are their back is just too lax because they've been hit or stretched or overstretched in their low back, that it's causing the nerves to be nixed, and now they're having pain that's going down the back of their leg that they think's a hamstring, but it's actually the nerves being tweaked that's going down the back of their leg, and they think it's a hamstring, but it's actually nerve pain that's going down the back of their leg. So,
Yeah.
but that's my 2 cents on hamstrings. The other thing about hamstrings, the way that you treat one hamstring is different than you treat the other hamstring. And the way that you treat a right medial hamstring is different from the way that you treat a right lateral hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know, again, is it inside? Is it outside? Is it right or is it left?
Yeah.
And if you have an idea of, if you have just that information, you are 100% ahead of the game, I think.
Yeah.
Most athletic trainers, I don't know that they know that, because whenever you see people come off of the sideline, the first thing that you see people do whenever they see a hamstring is that they start to stretch their hamstring, or they run to get the gun, the little pulse guns.
Yeah.
And that's you. Let me just put this out right now, is that pain is a request for change. Just because you're hurting somewhere doesn't mean that's where the problem's at. So the issue for me, and the issue for movement therapists, athletic trainers, physical therapists, myofunctional therapists, whoever, is to figure out exactly where's the problem here. Because the body's just saying, hey man, fix me, I've got a problem. and the body's just throwing out pain, going, hey, there's a problem. So for you as an athlete going, oh, I heard here's where the problem is, buddy, you're missing the boat.
Yeah.
Find somebody that can figure out where's the problem. Find somebody that can check your engine.
Mm-hmm.
You got me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so that is that. If anybody can just take that away today, that pain is a request for change, and that you've got to change something within your body. And if you aim for nothing, you're going to hit it every time. But if you have precise intervention, in other words, if you know where the problem's at, and then if you have measurable, in other words, you can measure the intervention that you're doing to see how well that intervention is taking place. So in other words, can you check to see how that strength is improving? Because as soon as I do an intervention, the next thing I do is turn right around and I see if, has that range of motion has improved? Has that strength improved? Because my rehab is neuromuscular. And so typically, as soon as I make an intervention, again, it's kind of like with you, what you saw is that things change fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing is that because they've had some compensatory muscle activity or compensatory patterns of movement, we've got to overcome those compensatory patterns. And so you just got to work on overcoming those compensation patterns. And that's what kind of takes a little bit of time.
Now, see, this is definitely about to be high level. I mean, for my audience, I normally have younger kids, but they need to understand this is very important, especially as being athletes and trying to have a fulfilling career. And we all deal with injuries at some point in time. It's part of the game, regardless what sport you're in. But I'm truly excited, and I know we already jumped in a little bit, but Stu, I'm gonna go back though, man, because I want to know more so about your childhood and your upbringing, and then what made you think like, hey, I want to get into athletic training, and then what sparked you for that passion?
Well, I was born in Cali. Actually, I was born up in the Bay Area. My dad was in the military, so I was born in Travis Air Force Base up around San Francisco. And then we moved. My parents are from Arkansas, so we moved back to Arkansas. I'm from Fort Smith. I now live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been in Northeast Oklahoma for since '87. I was an athlete in high school myself. The reason why I got into athletic training is I boogered up my finger. Put my finger through a plate glass window back whenever I was a junior in high school. Tore a tendon in my finger and had to have surgery. That happened probably right before the football season. So my hand surgeon was going crazy about keeping me out of football, and I was going crazy about getting me back into football. And I had an athletic trainer that helped bridge that gap and get me a splint and get me going and help me get back into the game. And so through an athletic trainer, Tom Cantwell, shout out to Tom Cantwell. He was my first introduction to an athletic trainer, and I thought, man, this is something I want to do. And so, that's the direction that I went. I had opportunities to play football as when I got out of college, but most of my opportunities were small schools. I didn't have any D1 opportunities. I was only 6'2", 215 pounds as an offensive lineman. So, I wasn't going to go anywhere big. So, and at that time, the only way you could get into athletic training is through an internship. So basically, you went to school in the morning. In the afternoon, you were working in the training room in the afternoon, and so that's what I did every afternoon, is work in the training room. And started out at Stephen F. Austin, which is in East Texas, and then went to Tulsa, and then ended up at Northeastern State University in Tahlequah. I graduated from NSU, and then I was a graduate assistant at the University of Arkansas. And then after that, I worked in a solo orthopedic practice for about 8 or 9 years. And then I started working minor league professional sports. I did the Tulsa Oilers, which is a hockey team. Mm-hmm. And then we got a arena football team, the Tulsa Talons. And after that, then I started doing the WNBA, women's basketball. I've consulted with professional soccer teams, other arena teams. I've worked with the Arizona Rattlers. I've won championships with the Arizona Rattlers and with the Tulsa Talons. And so, I've certainly, if you talk about some what are the big keystone moments in my career, certainly professionally was winning championships with the Tulsa Talons, and then with the Arizona Rattlers. And then, personally as an athlete, I won a state championship in football. So, you don't find a lot of athletic trainers who won a championship personally and professionally. But I'm fortunate to have done both, and just very blessed. That's all I can tell you.
No, so you definitely have a high standard, as far as what does it take to win, both as a personal accomplishment and then in the professional realm, as well as you also have been named in like you said, the professional league. In the hockey, you was named Athletic Trainer of the Year twice, that 2013-14 season, and as well as the 09-10 season. So, and it's one article that you also did the All-Star game, and their coach is like, I trust you with any of my athletes. There's like anybody. So that's definitely speaking highly of your work and the things that you have done on the ice and on the hardwood, and of course the AFL. But what has been your most memorable moments working with a pro team or athlete?
Well, again, I would say probably winning those championships. I've also had the opportunity to work NHL training camps with the LA Kings. Again, worked the WNBA. So, I've played at we've played in Madison Square Garden, the Staples Center, Target Center in Minneapolis. So, it's taken me to some pretty unique facilities, and I've been very, very blessed in this thing. And so I got to work with Nolan Richardson, which is a guy who's won a national championship and at Arkansas, a Division I championship. Also won a championship as a junior college coach, and so I got to work with some good people. I got to work with Gary Unger, who's considered the Iron Man of the NHL, as our he was our coach for the Tulsa Oilers. So I've got to, again, be around some good folks, and so it's again, very blessed.
Definitely. So you have over 30 years in the game. How do you stay motivated with the current trends that's going on in sports science?
Well, the thing that motivates me the biggest is I don't like to lose, and so uh, uh, if I can't get somebody better, um, I that's a loss for me. And I had a case back in 2005 that a guy had hip impingement, and at that time I didn't know what hip impingement was. I just knew that he had hip pain, and man, it was a struggle to get him better. Now, to my uh, I guess I don't know. I can just say that he went to the top hip doctor in the country, and that guy couldn't get any better either. So,
Yeah.
but at that point, I had to start figuring it out, you know. So that motivated me to, hey, listen, man, I got to start figuring some stuff out. I got to start raising my game. I've got to get better. And at that point, I started a journey to start educating myself to raise my game. And one of the things so the thing that I started doing is I started going around, started going to different conferences to figure out what, what, what are people doing?
Mm-hmm.
What's the new hip? What's the new thing? What's going on here? And the journey took me to a guy by the name of Ron Haruska, who's in Lincoln, Nebraska, and he does this Postural Restoration Institute. And postural restoration is a uh, neuromuscular driven, postural driven. It's all about, again, respiration, posture, uh, neuro from the standpoint is from that we have again two hemispheres of our brain, a right and left.
Mm-hmm.
So most of us are left brain, right eye dominant. So that right eye, that left brain, um, everything is um, again, I don't want to dig too deep in the weeds here for our young folks here. I know I don't want to get too deep. I'll cut back on it here again, but just to let you know that both him our both sides of our body are driven differently,
Mm-hmm.
and so we train both sides of the body differently. So if you're training both sides of your body the same, um, you might want to rethink or talk to somebody else that get maybe just a little bit different perspective, especially if you're having pain or dysfunction.
Mm.
And so um, there are certain muscles in our body that tend to work overwork.
Yeah.
Those muscles need to be inhibited or shut down
Yeah.
or toned down. There are certain muscles that aren't working that need to be turned on or turned up or ramped up.
Yeah.
And as again, if you don't know what those muscles are, then get with somebody who does.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of posture restoration therapists around the country that can help you with that. You can look on the Posture Restoration Institute, and they have on there. You can look under there for their therapists that can help find a therapist that's in your area that can help find somebody that can help. I'm not here to sell anything today, first of all. So there's no sell at the end here
Yeah.
where I'm going to sell a system or anything. I'm here uh, just out of love uh, for my main man here. And so but what I am telling you is this is a pretty good system.
Yeah.
And And so it helped me out with this particular case of hip impingement, and it helped me figure out how to deal with hip and groin and core and hamstring. And I probably was, I was probably had a system at that point that was maybe a 60 or 70% system.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me up to 90 or 95% system. I can't say that I have a 100% system.
Yeah.
There's still cases out there that I probably, there's no therapist that you're going to be able to see that are 100% therapists, unfortunately. I mean, listen, there are these supposed gurus all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can tell you is, if they're really honest with you, they've had a case or two that they've struggled with, or that has not had the outcome that they want to have.
Oh, fact.
And it's not that they're a bad therapist. It's just that, again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you aim for nothing, you hit it every time. So if you know what the problem is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's helpful.
Yeah.
And sometimes the problem's not physical. Sometimes it's something is mental.
Mm.
And that's where again, that's where things really become challenging. And I'm not saying that they're a head case. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that they need a collaborative approach, not only with a physical or a movement specialist, but also with a mental therapist.
Got you. Got you. So with that person with the hip impingement at that time, was that the defining moment for you? Like, hey, I'm going to change things up. Was that moment for you?
Absolutely, man. And I jumped in hook, line, and man, I was all over this guy. I was taking course after course after course. I was going up there just for a week to stay with this guy. I was like going, man, I've got to get this down.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing this for probably 15 years, and I don't know that I still haven't figured it out, to be honest with you. I mean, it's just the body is a very it's something, brother. I mean, I'm just telling you, it goes beyond. Hey, listen, we've got to work on your hamstring strength.
Yeah.
To we start working on things like, we've got to work on the way that you're dealing with, how is your vision, and how are you dealing with your visual fields? How are you dealing with occlusion? How's your bite?
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, friends, if you're not getting better, it may not be from the exercise system that you're in. You may need some help from a dentist. You may need help from a vision specialist. You may need help. This is not your mom. This ain't grandma's athletic training or physical therapy, or we're way past that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I don't want to jump too far in the weeds here, but yeah, it's the big take home is, to make this really simple, is that we're all twisted. We're all in torsion. And the big thing that we try to do through posture restoration is basically untwist people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we untwist people by using muscles on certain sides to pull you back in the way that to untwist you. And then restore. We move in 3 planes of motion, and then restore 3 planes of motion. So, to you high school guys, I'm so sorry.
Now this is something they need to hear though. This is something they need to hear, and I can attest for the activating, turning on and turning off. Like for my specific how I was going, my back was too much turned on. He was like, "You gotta turn this off." But my glutes, my glutes and my hamstrings weren't activated, especially my lower hamstring, my medial, which was where I strained my hamstring at. And he was like, "Man, you gotta. I don't even know how you functioning. Like, we gotta correct all this." But as athletes, we need to understand this isn't a one-day thing. Like, I had to come in every day. I was coming in twice in the morning and in the afternoon to get treatment while still going to practice. So yes, I was able to still move, but it wasn't fixed. It took me about like 2 weeks for me to really start activating and turning on these muscles and turning stuff off. And then new things happen just because we play football as a collision sport game. So, you know, things will constantly keep happening. You just got to readjust.
You're right. You are Tiger Woods, and that's the reason why Tiger keeps having problems. And I've even heard Tiger say, "Yeah, my glutes are on," but then I watch his posture and I go, "No, it's not.
Yep.
No, it's not," because he hadn't turned his back off. So Tiger, if you're listening, call me. But yeah, again, backs, like especially in athletes, like to stay on, and it just appreciate your back doesn't have to feel tight to be on. And just because your hamstring is tight doesn't mean, hey, listen, I gotta stretch it. So make sure that you the worst thing that you can do, I think, for hamstrings is if it feels tight, start stretching.
Yeah.
With somebody that can check to see if your hamstrings actually are tight. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you overstretch your hamstrings. And one of the biggest things that one of the biggest things I see is whenever I tell people your hamstrings are too long, and eyes roll back in the back of their head like, what? Muscles can be too long? Yes, muscles can be too long. And when hamstrings get too long, especially in gymnasts, man, we need hamstrings that are short and strong.
Yeah.
Not long and weak. That's when we need hamstrings that help keep this pelvis, these hips, in good position. So we need hamstrings that are working, and so we need them short and strong, not long and weak. So if they're tight, something ain't right. So get with your trainer, get with the movement therapist that can help you figure out hey, do I need to stretch or do I need to strengthen?
Yeah.
And strengthen them maybe in a shortened position, not in a lengthened position. So when I talk about, hey, you need to strengthen your hamstrings, I'm not talking about going into the gym and getting on that hamstring machine in there and start doing some hamstring curls.
Yeah.
Because that's not what we did. That's not what we did with you. I put your feet on the wall. We got you in a 90-90 position, and we started working on your hamstrings and started shorten them and started to train your hamstrings to control your hips or your pelvis to keep that pelvis in a proper position with your back off and with your quads off. That's an even bigger issue. That's another problem that I see is that, especially with athletes, is that their quads become quad dominant. quads are overactive.
Mm.
And so sometimes they need help shutting those quads off.
Would you say that's the biggest mistakes young athletes make when it comes to injury prevention or recovery? Is their muscles are being turned on too much?
Well, maybe. I think probably a bigger thing is that the biggest mistake that young athletes are using is overusing ice and rest.
Mm.
Listen, use ice for 24 to 48 hours if you need it after an injury. After that, man, toss that crap in the garbage.
Exactly.
Get to work. Ice is ice is a vasoconstrictor.
Mm-hmm.
It shuts down blood flow. You know what's in blood? Oxygen.
Oh.
You know what the powerhouse of the cell is? It's called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And the powerhouse of the cell requires oxygen. So it needs a lot of oxygen. So we need blood flow.
Yeah.
So don't shut down blood flow. And I know that right now that blood flow restriction is kind of a vogue thing that people are using. They're using these blood flow restrictors, and but they're only using that short term for muscle contraction, and that's a we're talking about a different deal here.
Yeah.
Um, but if anything, I would say introduce for young athletes, introduce some more cardio into your system to get more oxygen into your system, because most of them are doing sprints. If you for your DBs and your receivers, they're constantly out there doing their sprint work and their feet work and all that stuff. Add in some cardio into your system, into your workout. Not that you have to do cardio every day. The other thing I would say is add in an active recovery. Figure out where your pool is. Get in there and do some pool work. Listen, you don't have to go swim. Just go do some pool walks, 15, 20 minutes, just as an active recovery. Because the garbage system of our body is called the lymphatic system. And the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. The way that the lymphatic system moves things around is through muscle contraction. And so you need to contract muscle. And so if you get in that pool and move around, you start moving the garbage around. So you start getting a flush, moving that lactic acid and those old spent red blood cells and again, you want to clean out the garbage. And so part of the way that you do that is through an active recovery. The other way you could do that is through doing some cardio to get a flush after your workout. So so those are two things I would say that I would add in, especially for your DBs and receivers that you're working in or working with. Pool 15 to 20 minutes after would be great. Or if your school has a hot tub, get in there and don't just sit there. Move.
Move.
Yeah, move. But and again, 15 to 20 is kind of the gold standard for that. So and the same.
It's funny that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stu.
No, the same for cardio. 15 to 20 would 20 would kind of be a gold standard for that. And then if you want to know for a target range, I'd go 202 minus your age, and then you want to go 60 to 80% of that. So
got you. Now it's funny that you mentioned this because I ran into a man. He hurt his ankle And I just saw him in the gym, and I talked to him every now and again. And he was like, "Yeah, I hurt my ankle." I was like, "I said, what you been doing?" He said, "I just been putting ice on it." I said, "You gotta stop that. I'm like, it's time for you to like. You did it like a week ago. You still limping." And then I saw him the following week. He was like, "Hey, I want to appreciate you. Like, my ankle feels so much better. Like, I actually been able to move. He's still limping." I was like, "Yeah, you just got to keep strengthening now." And then I tell my kids, when they occur injuries or whatnot, I'm like, "Look, stop with the ice." Well, my trainer's telling me, I said, "I understand your trainer is telling you this, but and it's no disrespect." I'm like, "It's time to get off of it." I'm like, "I've been in your shoes. I know, what they telling you. At the same time, if you want to get back faster, this is what you got to do." And I kind of want to get it. That's my next question because I've been dealing with hamstring injuries and stuff like that. And normally, when I go to the trainer, is do some type of strengthening, some rehab, and then ice and still. And that's pretty much it. And that's your standard. What would you say is, first of all, the proper injury assessment that should be included, and then how would you think these athletes should advocate for themselves? Like, hey, I need this, or can we work on this?
Well, the first thing is that you need to have a good physical exam. And it, unfortunately, most people come in and they go, I hurt here,
Yep.
and they get parked on a table, and they throw a stem unit on there around where it hurts, and then they throw a bag of ice over where it hurts. And again, it goes back to what I was talking about. Pain is a request for change. It doesn't mean that's where the problem's at. And the thing about it, as a high school athletic trainer dealing with 16 to 18-year-old kids, most of those kids, because they're so young, they're going to get 2 or 3 days, they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
The other thing, and don't go in telling your trainer this, but let me just pull the curtain back for you just for a second, is that being an athletic trainer at a high school is a tough job. And to do a real exam on somebody, it takes a minute.
Yeah.
So it's easier for him or her to slap a bag of ice and stem on you. That way you can park 10 or 15 kids on benches. And then when the coach comes down and the coach goes, oh, they're getting treatment. Oh, okay. You're a good trainer. And then when the kid doesn't get better, he's going, hey, Johnny's not getting better.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we've been icing and stemming. We're going to add some ultrasound.
Mm-hmm.
The coach is going to go, oh, okay, great, perfect. Again, listen, this usually ultrasound's one-on-one. So that's the reason why ultrasound's typically kind of saved for, if you don't get better with ice and stem, because ice and stem, that takes 2 minutes to set up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, again, trainers it's tough, but you need a physical exam. So the way that I would advocate for yourself is that I would say, do you have time to do an exam on me? And if he says no, or if he says, hey, let's do some ice and stem, say, hey, listen, no, can you really check me out? If he says, I don't have time right now, then say, hey, listen, when will you have time? And then you may have to come back later in the day.
Yeah.
It may be inconvenient for you. But the thing about it is, go back whenever you can have some one-on-one time with that person, and they can actually lay hands on you, when they can actually maybe check you out and Again, move you around, check you out, see what's moving, see what muscles. Um, check your range of motion. That would be a good thing. Hey, let's see. Um, check to see how long your hamstrings are by laying you on your back and doing a straight leg raise. Like, let's see how far that how far your leg goes back. Let's check to see what your hip range of motion is. So checking some range of motion, checking your strength, just get some basic metrics on you, and seeing is there some things I need to be working on range of motion wise, or are there some things that I need to be working on strength wise? And then say, okay, what are these things that I need to be working on? And give me a plan to work on those. And then I want to follow up in a week, 2 weeks, and I want to reassess this, and let's see where I'm at. I want to see if what you've told me to do has gotten better, because that's the big thing, is that you want to have an evaluation, you want to have an intervention, and then you want to have a reassessment to see. It's just like school, just like high school. You go in there, you get the information, and then you take a test. Well, you just same thing with your body. You need to have a retest, or you need to have a re-examination to see if the things that he told you need to work on are getting better. And if you are not getting better with those assessments, then those aren't the things that you need to be working on.
That's good.
Maybe you need to find some other things to work on. And it's not his fault. Maybe he doesn't know, and that's okay.
That's real good.
So, maybe there's other athletic trainers in your system. Maybe there's other movement therapists around. Maybe there's other physical therapists that you can connect with that can help you. But if your resources are limited, and the only thing you have access to is the athletic trainer at your school, then be patient. Continue. Don't be a jackhole. Okay, be a nice guy. Just say, hey, listen, I'm not getting better with these things. Is there anything else that we can check? Okay, and then check those. Say, okay, how can I get these things better? Okay, how do I improve this? Now, now come back a little bit later, and let's again reassess those. Am I getting better? Again, just keep going. You got me?
Nah, that's awesome. That is some jewels right there, man. Wow, that's very important, very important. And you mentioned, everything that you're doing is science-based exercise correction, right? Can you give an example of how that is different from your traditional rehab? Because you already mentioned how, yes, the ice and stem, it might be a stretcher here or there, but you're doing something which is actually giving you results. Can you give something that you typically show us or give us an example what will be traditionally done and how you kind of do it differently?
Well, I mean, listen, again, we go back to the old hamstring issue, is that, for hamstrings, say for a right lateral hamstring, most people are going to have you lay down and start doing some hamstring curls. Get that hamstring better. What I could tell you is a right lateral hamstring issue tells you that your right booty ain't working, your right glute max. So the thing you better go work on there is not your right hamstring. Your right hamstring needs a partner. So the three things that propel you forward on your posterior chain on the back of your leg, if we talk about the big three, would be your glute max, which would be your booty, your hamstring, which are three muscles, and then your calf muscles, which are two, or the big two, which would be gastrocsoleus. And I'm speaking again, generalities again, but so again, corrective base is that instead of working on just hamstring there, I'm going to go after glute max and work on trying to get that glute max to work, because most of the time, right glute max is not working. It's not on. And I test that right off the bat. And usually I show people, like, I'll test it. And so we'll do a manual muscle test. We'll test that muscle, and I'll look up at them, and they're like going, "Yeah, I'm pushing against you, brother, and it ain't working." And I'm going, "I know, I'm with you. I see that." And then we do an intervention, and then we come back in 5 minutes, and they're like going, "Holy sheesh kabish, this works now." Oh, okay. All right. So now I've got to keep that on. Okay. Now that we have that right glute max on, now can we get that right glute max, that right booty, to work with that right hamstring? Now, can we get those two to work together while you shift your hips? Because that's going to be the next thing. Because usually, again, right hamstring, right lateral hamstring, hips are stiff. Yeah. So we got to work on the ability to shift those hips. And so can we keep those muscles on while they shift their hips? Yeah. And buddy, that's what takes time. Because they got to you got to figure it out. Yep. And so we got to start working on that first of all, with hips flexed, knees bent. Then we got to work on that with hips in extension, and then we got to work on that. So in different ranges of motion at the hips while we shift and keep those muscles on. And that's challenging, and that's what takes time. Yeah. But it's possible. So that's the corrective piece on it. So it's not just putting you down and saying, "Hey, do a hamstring curl. Let's get your hamstring strong." It's your hamstring's weak. No, we've got to it's like going, if we were going to go to a Pier 6 brawl, I'm going to get my 6 of my biggest friends. Well, if I'm going to go to a Pier 6 brawl for your hamstring, I'm going to get your biggest friends together. And the biggest friends for your hamstring, your big boy, is glute max. Yep. And things in the body are named based off of position and size. And when we start talking about max, that's big boy. Yeah. That's offensive lineman. That's center. That's a nose man, right? That's a shade nose right there, baby. So that's a guy that we want on. That's a guy for sure that we want working, and that's a guy we want to take to a fight. Yeah. So corrective based stuff is that we're going to work on things that may not be. And again, so people. One of the things that people say is, "Okay, should I ice my hamstring now?" And I'm going, if it makes your butt work better, then yes, ice your hamstring. And then they look at me like going, "What?" Yeah, if it makes your butt work better, because we just worked your glute max, we just worked your butt. And here's the other thing is, if we can make a muscle work better by icing it, we can shut Gold's Gym down today.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, I'll get off my soapbox, but just enough with the ice, folks. I'm so sick. I'm so sick of ice. I mean, listen, doctor. Here's the reason why doctors prescribe are so adamant about ice.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they get less calls at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning asking for narcotics. Because there's no doubt about it. Ice modulates pain. It changes perception of pain. And if that's all that you're worried about is modulating or changing your perception of pain, there's your huckleberry.
Yeah.
If you want better, let's talk.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to just change the way that you feel for a little bit, then hey, man, ice is your huckleberry.
Nah, that's elite. That's elite information right there, and you can see how, someone who can be dealing with a hamstring injury, they keep coming in throughout the year. But your method, right? We're gonna make you whole. Where now you're gonna be able to feel good and finish strong in that year. So that's a completely different mind shift and way to go about it, which is awesome. And you kind of mentioned that sometimes, athletes, sometimes they don't have the resources. But what are some red flags that athletes should never ignore when it comes to pain or discomfort?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the bad stuff, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like numbness, tingling, obviously deformity, weakness, loss of range of motion. That's bad stuff. That you like. I don't care if you got money or don't have money. You go see the doctor, right?
Yeah.
You bypass the trainer. You go see the doctor. But yeah, any of that stuff, weakness, numbness, tingling, that's no good. And I know some of your DBs and will get stingers that
Yeah.
that go down their arm, and again, you kind of start thinking, that's not a big deal, and it can be, but at least get an X-ray on your neck,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure it's not a big deal, please. Um, because I just I don't want you to end up in a bad situation. But I would say those are red flags. Obviously, anytime that you've got significant bruising, that ain't that's real.
Yeah.
you know, that tells you that either you got a significant tear, or you've got something's broken.
Mm-hmm.
Bones bleed like crazy. So get evaluated. And again, I would probably think about bypassing the. I mean, certainly see your trainer if that's your first line, but then probably want to get a doctor evaluation on those things.
That's always nice to know. Now you kind of mentioned about the mental aspect, but how important is the mental and emotional awareness in rehab or performance process? Because I broke a collarbone, I have also torn my ACL. Mentally, I was engaged the whole time, but I have seen teammates and players who would go down in the tank during this process. So, can you share how important that is?
Well, the big thing is you've got to stay positive. Um, the other thing you have to understand is that rehab is not linear. In other words, what I mean by that is that your progress is that line between A and B is not a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, you're going to do this. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs. And so when things are going great, you're going to have a smile on your face. But when things aren't going great, you still have to have a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And know that we typically, again, this is probably way too high level, but we usually have 5 stages of rehab, and so and that's what I'm just telling you is that you're going to have at least 2 setbacks in your rehab.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you. Your first, your third stage, first stage is going to your initial stage. You're going to do great. And then you're going to have a setback, and then your third stage is going to be your best stage, and then your fourth stage you're going to have another setback. Before your fifth stage, you're going to get better again. So, what I can tell you is that when things aren't going good, you got to keep a smile on your face. If you can't keep a smile on your face, if that voice in your head, and we all have it, that negative Nelly, that person that wants to say, man, things, boy, this, oh, here it goes again. Here's what you do. You got to write down things that you're thankful for. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know what it is. I'm sure you've all got somebody who loves you. Yep. I know you got people that care for you. I'm sure you probably had food to eat that day. You got to write that stuff down. And when things aren't going well, or when that negative Nelly starts talking to you in your ear, you pull out that piece of paper and you read that stuff aloud. And you keep reading that stuff aloud through positive affirmations until that negative voice goes away. But that's the biggest thing, is that you got to remain positive, because here's the thing about it is, Oprah Winfrey, she had a book club, and one of her first books that she had was called The Secret. And that book basically said is that whatever we think, we kind of draw into our existence. So if you're thinking negative crap, you're going to get negative crap in your life. So what I'm telling you, friend, is that you better start manifesting. You better start dwelling. You better start thinking about the positive, not just now, all the time. Mm-hmm. You better start thinking. Listen, if you want to be in the NFL, if you want to be D1, you better, for sure, you need to write that stuff down and put that in your pocket. Yep. You need to be manifesting that stuff. You need to be reading that stuff every day. Like, hey, I'm going to D1. I'm going to do this. Wherever you're wanting to go, or whatever you're wanting to do, you need to be writing that down, and you need to be saying that stuff out loud. I don't know again, I don't want to get in the weeds in this either, but I don't know where your folks are spiritually. But what I could tell you is that when God created the heavens and the earth, he didn't think that stuff. He spoke it. Yep. So what I could tell you people, if you're listening to me, speak these things out. And so whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you are trusting for or wanting, write them down, speak them out, and trust, and know that things are working in your direction. So yes, rehab, nonlinear. You're going to get better. Keep working, head up, always keep a smile on your face. And when you can't keep a smile on your face, positive affirmations, read those things aloud. And when you can't read them out loud, find a place by yourself, so people don't think you're crazy talking to yourself, but it's okay to talk to yourself.
Now what you just said you just spoke on, that's what I got through. I leaned on the word and spoke the word. And everything you just said is biblical principles. And people, all you have to do is apply it. And the great thing about the Bible is it doesn't matter if you're saved or not; those principles work for all of us. And regardless if you have a relationship or not. So, man, you speaking biblical truth right there about that process, and that's awesome. Um, Now, you kind of mentioned about the ice already as far as the myths, but what is another common myth or about injury recovery or training that you wish people understood more about?
Oh man. Sheesh. I go into about 100 of those. Uh, um, I would say another one would have to do with rest. Um, is that I need more rest. My injury needs more rest. And what I can tell you is, in the absence of stress, we die. One of the things that they found a long time ago is that when people had heart attacks back in the day, they used to put them in bed. And what they found out is that when they put them in bed, that they died.
Mm,
So what they found out is that when people had heart attacks, the ones they got up and started walking around and started putting in cardiac rehab, they lived.
yeah,
So same thing with you. That heart is a muscle. Your body is a muscle. So um, you need stress. You need to stress your body. Now, do you need to recover? Yeah. Yeah, you need to recover. Yeah. But uh, rest sometimes is overrated. Now, let's talk about rest in the standpoint of do you need to get your butt in bed every night? Hell yes.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you need to be out on the run the streets at 2 in the morning? No. If you're an athlete, get your butt in bed. For sure, you need to be in bed by 11 o'clock at the latest. You need to be getting 8 hours of sleep every night.
Mm-hmm.
Every night. Here's the reason why. Your body produces human growth hormone. If you ain't getting to sleep, you're shortchanging yourself. Okay. Uh, Number two is, let's talk about this. Your body produces testosterone. Get your phone out of your pocket.
Major.
Okay. Get that phone away from your testicles. It is zapping your production of testosterone. So that would be another thing. Whatever you can do, if put it in your backpack, put it in whatever. I don't care. Get it away from your pocket. Get away from your pocket. Um, but again, rest. Not to get off on testicles and cell phones. But we're dealing with an epidemic in this country of low T. We didn't have low T before cell phones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we did. I don't know. But it's funny that we have low T uh, clinics everywhere now, and everybody's got a cell phone they carry in their pocket. Um, so um, so yeah, get that cell phone out. The other thing is, don't be putting that cell phone by your head at night. That's a no. Um, um, get off that cell phone at night.
Mm-hmm.
Put that crap down. Limit your access to cell phones. Listen. Um, have one-on-one interactions with folks. Be a human.
Yep.
Um, um, I'm not really answering your question here. I'm just talking. I'm just right now telling folks how to be good folk. But I would just say rest. Get your butt in bed and get 8 hours of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You need human growth hormone. The other thing is I'd probably try to limit sweets right before you go to bed. If you Sweets right before you go to bed increases the production of insulin into your system, which can then potentially decrease your production of human growth hormone. So just don't have don't have some ice cream before you go to bed.
Yeah.
The other thing is make sure that you're getting your protein in, especially if you're training every day. It doesn't have to be fancy crap. You don't have to have a protein shake.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what I recommend is, especially if you're actively training, would be 1 gram per pound of lean body weight. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you're, you're 10% body fat.
Yep.
That means subtract off 10%. That's 15 pounds. So 135 grams of protein is kind of where you need to be. And so that needs to be probably 30 grams of protein at a time. So that means you need to be eating about 5 times a day.
Oh.
So, eggs, I know the eggs right now are not cheap, but milk, still pretty cheap. I'm not a big fan of milk. I'm not a big fan of dairy at all.
Yeah.
But again, if we've got to talk about, I don't really have a lot of money, milk's cheap. Eggs are, I saw today, 29 cents a piece at, they were 40 cents a piece at Walmart, but they were 29 cents at Trader Joe's. So I don't know that our folks shop at Trader Joe's, but again, eggs about 6 grams of protein, 6 to 8 grams of protein. So
Them the Tulsa prices right there, Stu.
Listen, I got that off the national news, actually.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was a national average. So I know we're talking worldwide right now.
Yeah.
So
No,
but
that's very important. Very important.
if you you don't have to spend high dollar money on shakes and that type of thing. In fact, I prefer that if you can, stay with the real stuff.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask about that because I see a lot of people they like I have a protein shake more so than actually eating. And why would you prefer the real deal over the protein shakes?
Because protein are long chains of amino acids, and I want those long chains as unadulterated as possible in my body.
Gotcha.
So, but hey, listen, nothing wrong with it. If that's what you got to do to get your protein in, hey, giddy up, brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just telling you, if I've got an offensive lineman with a calf problem, I'm going to tell him, hey, listen, man, go eat a steak. Next day, he's going to come in and he's going to say, man, my calf feels so much better.
Yeah.
I tell him, hey, man, go eat, go drink a Power Core, muscle milk. You come in the next day, go, I feel the same.
Yeah. No, that's great insight. That's great insight. Now, since you have trained and been around different sports as far as basketball, football, and hockey, how do you approach the return to play protocol based off of the sports or the position, or is it all the same?
No, it's a functional. I do a functional capacity exam. So, in other words, I do I check their obviously range of motion to make sure and compare it to the non-injured side.
Yeah.
And then I do a strength test, and I have a force plate. So you guys aren't going to have a force plate, but you can check strength wise side to side, and mine and the gold standard is to have at least 85% of the uninjured side. And then usually for lower body injuries, I'll do for final return to play is usually a jump test. And so, I'd have them do, a single leg hop. So right leg, and I put a tape measure out there and jump forward, right leg, then jump forward, left leg. And then we'd go backward, and then we'd go sideways, and then we'd go going the other way. And then we'd do I call it a twist. And so we measure those and see how far the measurement is each side to see exactly how far that you can jump and make sure that it's 85% of the other side.
Yeah.
And so that's for lower body. For upper body, again, we check range of motion and strength. And but it's a functional capacity exam. You just want to check to make sure that range of motion and strength is there. And then, obviously I'm out there with them at practice. So we're going through, we're doing return to, before that, we're already doing return to play drills. So we kind of have an idea of, what are they able to do it? I mean, we're again, the worst thing to do is, go directly from the doctor's office. The doctor goes, oh, okay, you're ready to go to play. And then, don't do any testing and just go, okay, well, you're ready. Yeah. Oh, okay, great. You just need to have, you need to collect some data and know exactly, where am I at? Because again, if you don't know, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the jump test is the great one. And then the last one is for that one is a usually the last jump test would be a three hopper, 1, 2, 3 forward, right? Usually one-legged. So that's lower. So that gets ankle, knees, hips on the jump test. So
now that's much better than what people are told, especially when I was coaching. Hey, you good to go. So that's definitely much better than anything else anybody else is doing. I can tell you for a fact.
Yeah, you just want to check. You want to check. So jumping, and then you're just checking in the 3 planes of motion. So forward, side, and then transverse plane, which is basically a twist or a so forward, sideways, and then one with a twist. So in other words, you'd start out if you're facing north on your right leg, you would jump and you would land facing south.
Mm-hmm.
So facing the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And then you would basically, you'd see how far that you could jump the opposite direction with a tape measure down and see how far that you could jump and, be maybe 3 or 4 feet, and then see if you can do 3 or 4 feet on the other side. Yeah. If you can't, well, probably not ready yet. Mm-hmm. Probably need to work on, and the last one is the last one to come back. Forward is the first one to come back. Going forward and backward is usually the first one that comes back, and the last one to come back is the one where you twist. And
yeah,
especially for high ankle sprains.
Oh, that's great right there. I got 2 more questions for you. And what advice would you give to high school or college athletes that are trying to build a long, healthy career? And of course, a lot of people are starting to get to the pre-prevention, so they're making sure that nothing happens beforehand. So what advice would you give these athletes?
Number one, put in the work. There's no shortcuts. And it's exactly what you said earlier. Hey, you know what? I came in the training room, I did my work, I went and practiced, and then I came back to the training room and I did some more work. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what it takes. Yep, you got it. and that's every day. That's Monday through Friday. And then let your trainer tell you, you know what, you can take today off.
Yep.
You know, hey, you know what, you've done pretty good this week. You've been in here every day, and today you take today off.
Mm-hmm.
That is the ultimate pat on the back that I can give to a player is, hey man, go chill.
Mm-hmm.
That is the ultimate. That's the ultimate I can give to a player. So put in the work. There's no shortcuts in anything. So again, review again. Get your butt in bed. Don't be out running. Stay away from bad people. You know who the good people are. Stay with the good people. The worst thing you can do is hang around with bad folk.
Yep.
Um, uh, have some type of spiritual connection if you can. That along with itself will help get you around some better folk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's not going to eliminate you from temptation. You're still going to have temptation, but that'll at least put you around some better people. Eat right. Stay away from fast food. Stay away from grease. Again, I don't like dairy, but if you got to drink dairy to get your protein, and get it. But if you don't have to, stay away from dairy. The reason why I don't like dairy is because most dairy's got so many hormones and mucus and antibiotics in it. I just I'm not a fan. But rest, protein, spiritual journey, put in the work. But if you can get those four things going, and then the other thing is, if you're a high school athlete, buddy, knock out those grades,
Yep.
get them right, because you got to qualify.
No, big time, big time. So I see. I don't know if the ACL injury was something big. Before I was live or anything like that, but it seems like this injury is occurring, and it's not even just football. It's just across all sports that it's happening more often. Do you think that it has something to do with the way that we train now, that we have more of ACL injuries, or is it just something that has more to do with the ground that we're training on, or anything like that?
No. The reason, I think the reason that we're training is that's the way we're training. We're training people into ultimate extension. I hope this isn't too much in the weeds, but extension, external rotation, and abduction is where most of our athletes are locked into. So they can't access internal rotation, they can't access flexion, and they can't access adduction. So that means bringing things closer to our body. That means flexion means getting into like a fetal position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, um, so yeah, we've got these people that are really, really strong, but they're into extension. I worked with a nose man from San Jose. So basically, with our current training, is that we are training athletes and we are sticking athletes into extension, um, abduction, and external rotation. So we need to have strength and conditioning folks that can help restore internal rotation, flexion, and adduction. Because when they start trying to access those ranges of motion, these joints are, bang.
Yeah.
So again, if you want to know, am I lacking the ability to internally rotate? Am I lacking the ability to flex? Am I lacking the ability to adduct? Get with a movement specialist and see if you're lacking those things. Because, here's the thing about it is we start putting knee braces on linemen, and then now we're locking up their knees, and now they're having hip problems. So. But yes, we're it's the way that we're training, and we're getting people stronger, but we are losing ranges of motion in other. They're able to produce more force, but they're lacking the ability to move in other motion.
Got you. Man, Stuart, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, man. Very high level. If people did want to find you or reach out to you at any point in time, where can they find you
at? Talk to you. You're my agent. I like I said, I had nothing. I don't have a website. I have no social really. So again, like I said, I don't have anything, buddy. I'm on Facebook, Stuart Nichols. Anybody wants to talk to me, I'll talk to anybody. So I'm pretty easy. So I'm here to help everybody. If I can be a blessing to you or to any of your listeners, then I'm all for that.
I'm telling you now, Stu. Once this go out, everybody gonna be hitting you up. I just want you to know.
Okay. All right, Stuart, Stuart, last name Nichols, Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm on Facebook. I'm sure none of you young whippers are going to be able to find Facebook. You guys have to figure out how to get on Facebook.
Exactly.
I don't have get on Insta. So yeah, but yeah. If I can love on your listeners, let me know.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. Well, Stu, appreciate you for your time, and we'll be talking. All right, Stu?
Okay, listen, I love you. I pray blessings on you, and man, I appreciate you so much, and you're such a blessing, and you were just such a hard worker, man. I tell you, if your listeners could be half of the worker, and it's a testament to the reason why you were able to extend your career as long as you were was because of the just bulldog tenacity, the not take no, just run through a brick wall. That's this guy right here. So if you can pattern yourself after somebody, or if you can find somebody to follow, right here, and listen to him. And so God bless you, brother. Good to talk to you.
Appreciate that. God blessings to you as well, Stu.
Okay, buddy. I'll be in touch. All right. I love you.
Yes, sir. I love you too.
Okay, bye-bye. See ya.
Bye.